Hi there, and welcome. Now it's time for America's favorite podcast, Leave Your Mark, with your host, Vince Cortese.
If it's fly, loose fitted, it's Cortez. If freezing, chubbers in it, it's Cortez.
Leave Your Mark is about inspiring the world, one guest at a time.
Pass the word from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh, from urban to suburb, it's Cortez, you heard?
And here is our host, Vince Cortese.
This is Leave Your Mark. I am Vince Cortese, and today's guests are Hannah and Chuck Keels, stage 4 cancer thrivers. With a miraculous life story they share with others via their speaking events, their books, and their social media. They've co-founded Living Hope Cancer Foundation to inspire a positive mindset in anyone affected by cancer. They also live out their motto, get up and live, one day at a time while going through treatment, growing their nonprofit, and sharing hope to everyone they meet. Their website is getupandlive.org. Chuck and Hannah, thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited to speak with you two. Tremendous mindset and your approach to this. So what I want to do is typically I speak in your youth and that, but I've not had two people in this unique situation. So I want to kind of find out where you met, how things were going up to the cancer, and then we'll get into the cancer in more detail. So if you could share that part of the story where you two become a couple.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having us. And the best way to start our story is to start with Chuck's backstory.
The reason why we do that is because this starts like a whole change in my path in my life that I'd never seen coming. And in 2015, I was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer that, just like every other guy, I'll be okay tomorrow. It got worse and worse and worse. And by the time I was diagnosed, it was not only stage 4, which means it's running around your body, but it also means that they said I had 3 months to live. So waiting.
I want to kind of touch on it to interrupt. What's your initial thought? Because everybody who finds out they got cancer the first time has an electric type of charge that goes through them. What did you initially think when you found out you had cancer?
I was a dad of 2 boys, a single dad. I raised my 2 boys. They were junior high and high school. I figured, boy, this sucks. What's going to be next? And it's not just a cancer that we can start doing chemo, radiation, and throwing things at it, maybe a surgery and get rid of it. You're diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. You might have 3 months to live is what the team of doctors told me. And they sent me home, and that night I get a knock on my door, and it's 2 hospice nurses.
Oh my word.
So not only was I my head spinning, but what they told me was there was nothing the medical industry could do about it at this point. It was that bad.
Okay, so moving forward from there, then what takes place? You address this right away, or, stage 4, you got to do something. What were your measures you took?
So like I said, the medical industry can't step in any longer because they pretty much said there's nothing we can do at this point. Hospice nurses were at my house writing prescriptions for liquid morphine and hospital beds to sit downstairs in my house, so I didn't have to climb the flight of stairs. So what you do is you go to the next point of attack or the next game plan. God, help me! What is going on here? What do? You start praying. There's nothing the medical industry can do. So it's the next step is, God, what is your plan? Is this a short journey or long journey?
Now, how is your spirituality? What is your connection with God?
So at the time, I would say I was spiritual, but I was very confused about Christianity. I'm not calling out any specific religions, but I did grow up Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 11 years. And what I didn't get was that personal relationship with Jesus. I didn't get that. I got a lot of check the boxes and have a nice haircut and nice shirt and nice pants and be at church at 9:00 and you're a good Catholic boy. I didn't get all the rest of the important stuff, the really important stuff. So I would say that instead of going to church because I didn't believe in that anymore, Instead of being in that brick building on the corner every Sunday morning, I'd rather be out mountain bike riding or hiking. But I would say a prayer and I would thank God for the beauty around me. I didn't know a personal relationship with Jesus until everything in the entire world is taken away from you and you're laying there in a hospital bed looking at the ceiling, and then you realize it's just you and him.
That's tremendous. So now you're moving through this, so you survive. You go through.
Well, I had a
what was your battle like? Because we want to get up here to when you meet Hannah, and because we're going to get into what you guys currently do.
So absolutely sick as a dog, down 40 pounds. My skin looked pale. I smelled funny. I was on liquid morphine just to get through the day. And I was a sick puppy. I said, let me get my boys back to Ohio. The day we were supposed to fly out of Phoenix to back to Columbus, Ohio, I suffered a spinal collapse or a compression fracture. So the cancer was in my bones, causing all kinds of problems. And there was an area in my spine that just said, boom, we can't hold you up anymore.
Oh, man.
Or the fire department gets me to the closest hospital in central Phoenix. They do 2 emergency surgeries. And in the recovery room, my life changed. The room got cold. I scrunched up. I looked to my right to see if somebody had opened the doors at the end to let the cold air in, and the doors were shut. So I panned back to my left, and I'm laying there flat on my back looking at a brown robe, white scarf, beard and face. I'm looking in the face of Jesus. He's looking at me. His right foot does a half a step towards me. He reaches out and touches me on the shoulder, and then he's gone, maybe 3 or 4 seconds. I'm flipping out. I'm like, I don't even go to church anymore. What just happened?
Are you thinking like you're hallucinating, or is this something that what makes you feel that this is real?
So in my head, I didn't see his mouth move, but in my head I heard, I got you. And then right away, it's like, was it a doctor? Was it a nurse? Was it a janitor? What was that? And in my head, I said, I was in the presence of Jesus. I had no doubt in my mind I was in the presence of Jesus.
So
That day, go to that day, all the pain stops. And the doctors and nurses they're freaking out. They're like, "What do you mean you're not ordering anything? I don't feel any pain. I don't even take aspirin. I'm not going to order a drug if I don't have to." So that day, my life changed in an unbelievable way.
I'll say, wow.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Be our friend on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Whether jumping out the MP or jumping on the app.
You are listening to Vince Cortese. We just want you to leave your mark.
Now, you're healing, so where's life leading you now? You got your boys, and you're taking care of business, and
yeah. Business was designing swimming pools and landscaping all over the valley. So from an Ohio boy to being in someone's backyard in Phoenix, Arizona every day of the year was absolutely beautiful for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I went back to that design and landscaping, but the phone started ringing. It was somebody who their mom or their wife or they were going through cancer, and they said, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "What are you calling me for?" And they're like, "You survived stage 4 cancer." I'm like, "What is going on here?" And what happened was I seen my life start to change because I started taking all these calls, and I realized I was helping people, which I love to do, and it was coaching them with their cancer journey. And so that started gradually. And in that event of happening of still landscaping and still raising 2 boys, and all this stuff, and trying to get my health back because my body fell apart through this cancer journey. So I was at the gym, in the pool, at the park, walking hills, doing whatever I could to push forward. And at the same time, these calls were coming in, and I get introduced to a beautiful young lady that's going through stage 4 breast cancer. And that young lady is sitting next to me right now.
That was 2 years ago. Somebody's cancer journey was in 2015, 6 years ago. And 2 years ago, one of my really good friends, I was talking to her about I'd just written a book, the content of my book, and I didn't know how to publish it. And I was trying to figure it out. And I was talking to her about it. And she's like, "Oh, I don't know why I've never introduced you to my cousin. You should look him up. His name's Chuck Keels." So she's like, "I don't have his phone number. Look him up on Facebook." So I did. I stalked him for a good half day. and sent a message on Messenger. So I couldn't friend him because he had 5,000 friends. When you hit 5,000 friends on Facebook, it's the cap. So I was like, who knows if this guy's going to find this message in that weird other folder. And I prayed over it. I was like, God, if you ever want him to find it, you know, this guy's older than me. I don't know how savvy he is. And, so and he saw that message a month later.
And you know, that whole story about the Facebook deal, when you're just a dude with your buddies in Ohio and Pennsylvania and LA, it's 5, 6, 7, 800 friends, right?
Yeah.
But after this crazy journey I started through with cancer and being able to speak for some businesses and schools and churches, well, my friends started filling up. And it got to 5,000, and I didn't know a personal page caps off at 5,000. And so it was there, and I was getting all these messages in this weird mailbox that were people that weren't my friends. And I'd go in once a month and just mostly delete them out because it was people from all over the world scamming and jamming and asking for money. And I was like, this is crazy. But I come across this message that said something about, I know your cousin. I'm writing a book. And I'm like, whoa. And then I look back, and when it was sent was a month earlier.
So I thought he like was ignoring me, you know. And so once we started talking, he started stalking me. And so haven't overseas. That's the great part about social media. You can stalk people. So I was overseas visiting my cousins in Holland. So I was born there in the Netherlands. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to see you. He's like, let's go for coffee. I'm like, you're gonna have to wait about 2.5 weeks. So we just started messaging each other and video chatting and had so much in common. We both have boys. So between us, we have 6 boys, almost exactly like a year apart. They all fit right in age order. And there are just so many similarities. And so he ended up picking me up from the airport. And we were inseparable after that. And 6 weeks later, got engaged. And 6 weeks after that, got married. So within 3 months of meeting each other, we were married.
Wow. Just click.
Lock it down, dude.
Just click. That's a fantastic story. Now, Hannah, you're stage 4 yourself. So, like, what was your emotions when you found out you got cancer?
Yeah, so that was a year after Chuck got it. So 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. In the same year that I got divorced from a pretty long marriage of 21 plus years. A lot of loss for me that year, a lot of just change. Had my double mastectomy, had to start working full-time as a nurse. And so it freaked me out, honestly. Like, I was not expecting it. I was eating organically and exercising and doing all of the things that are healthy that anybody would imagine, right? And so it threw me for a loop, completely unexpected. And a year later, it progressed. So I was diagnosed metastatic breast cancer and had to leave my job because I couldn't be on treatment and work full-time as a nurse. So at that point, it freaked me out so much. I really thought I was going to die. I definitely told myself I'm going to die by the time I'm 50. And I had all of these like things going on in my mind. I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. How was I going to provide for my kids financially? All of that. And what I ended up doing with all of that fear is the only thing I could do and take it to God. So I really had this time in my life where I couldn't depend on myself or other people, but I could depend on him, and he was teaching me how to do that. And over the last couple of years, that's been my go-to. It's the only thing I can do. I've had a lot of more losses. My very best friend committed suicide. I have just experienced loss after loss with a broken neck last year and a broken back over the winter and having a feeding tube and losing my voice and not being able to sing or eat. So it's just these places of deep loss for me of the things that I love, right? And these things just happened after we got married. So, imagine you're gonna have this like honeymoon of a marriage. And even though my cancer was stable when we met, it progressed after about 5 months of being married. And so we really went through a lot of roller coaster emotions and deep losses last year.
And it still are. It's been a long year, but basically, she's still in her journey. She's still in treatment right now. And so it's not like we went through it. We are going through it right now. But what we're hoping to do is be able to be transparent that we can go through this and still be productive and build a cancer foundation and help people and take calls all day long and things like that. And we want other people to watch us and go, I'm complaining about this, and these guys are doing that. So, our journey has definitely continued to roll on.
Yeah, and there's something about being diagnosed with cancer, especially metastatic, because it really makes you brush up with your mortality, is realizing that every day is a gift. And so that is literally how we live now. We don't concern ourselves too much with 6 months down the road. We do today really well. We live today really well. So our motto became get up and live. And it really is, it changes everything. We actually tattooed it on our arms, and we have it on our website's getupandlive.org. And it's this reminder to people that it's a reminder to people to really live your life that God's given you today, at the best that you can. So whatever that looks like, if you can get out in the pool and walk around. After my surgery, I couldn't walk on land.
Sure. And you had beyond the trifecta, you should have been on the racetrack betting as many injuries as you had.
I was in a wheelchair.
That was terrible. So how are you as far as what's your mobility like?
So I'm walking again. About 2 months ago, I said goodbye to my wheelchair. I had this great little.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's a major one, right? That's a big deal.
It was gradual. She started out with wheelchair into the pool and then walking around in the pool. And then one day she's like, I'm going to start walking a little bit more here in the house. And then one day she looked at me, she goes, I'm done with that. And I go, well, let's just keep it around. And she's like, no, I'm done with that. And we put it up for sale and sold it. And so she's not going to win any races or anything like that.
But she won a race right there.
And you're right. She sure did.
Yeah. So, and it's a lot of physical therapy. I have a physical therapist that comes twice a week and daily exercises. So, it's not this magical thing. It really is hard work every single day. But I quit doing the things I love. I love being in the pool. So
if you are listening from Australia, Florida, or just from around the corner,
From East Coast to West Coast outlets, if you're not into the dirty South straight, make a left and body.
contact us. Leave your mark with your host, Vince Cortese.
You said something at the beginning here that we skimmed over just because it was start of the conversation. But when you said mindset, Vince, you said it all. Mindset is everything. And watching her and her drive and her faith, mindset is everything in life.
I agree.
Absolutely.
What I'm picking up off of the two of you is you both had a coming to meeting with the Lord, and individually before he connected the two of you, you obviously felt the connection. I mean, to get married as quickly as you did, and I mean, just sheer bliss. I mean, to think that you're currently going through therapy and he's done, and looking at the two of you, how healthy you are. I mentioned that to you earlier. I mean, you're bright and shiny, and that's really how the Lord works through us.
that's right. And it is one of the biggest things. We briefly mentioned our nonprofit. We started it 2 months after we got married, got the paperwork, got our IRS determination letter, and started it, and it called it Living Hope Cancer Foundation. So we want people to live with hope,
Oh yeah.
going through cancer. And it was something we realized, that was missing. We didn't have people speaking into our lives of, you're going to get through this and you can actually suffer well. You can go through treatment and with a smile on your face. And we learned a lot of those things on our own. And then when we met each other, it's amazing. We were both doing very similar things. And we have 5 pillars that we teach, which is prayer, love, surrounding yourself with people you love in your community. Let them serve you and love you during this time. Juicing, we juice every day. It's a way to get raw fuel. And we use essential oils. We both were using them before we met each other, and we still do every single day. And moving the body, however that looks. It could be laying on the floor, stretching. It can be going for a run if you can run, or walk your dog. Or there's something about that.
It's big.
Energy.
You know,
Well, it's when you feel good physically, it rolls off into feeling good mentally. So much of us, we think through our bodies instead of through our minds. You've completely mastered thinking through your mind and your spirit. Like like I said, you're just lit up. It's so noticeable, even if you're just sitting there. I mean,
but it can
Chuck
also,
is beaming. Chuck is beaming. He's like, are you above the Arizona Cardinal Stadium there? I see the light shining up there.
that's coming down from a higher source.
Okay, for sure. But I mean, the reality of the joy that you bring to this, it completely changes the outcome.
Right. But something you just said also, you said when you're feeling better, your mind starts to work better. We coach people to, even though you're feeling like crap, let's start putting one foot in front of the other, because if you don't start sometime, you'll never get there. So we've got to coach people from feeling like crap and their doctors telling them, you're going to die and all this stuff. And we got to call and coach them to get up and live. And you should see the transformation in cancer people. And we even work with people in hospice and get videos of them dancing in their living room with their family. It's so cool. It is so cool.
Yeah.
So
We give them permission to live.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
I think that, and we do it, we practice what we preach. So we live it out loud. And, we have our days. I have a lot of hard physical days and a lot of pain in the past, but it really starts with your mind. And if you are miserable in your mind, you're going to be miserable in your body. Your mind will drive what your body's doing. And so that's what I find, I'm constantly giving my pain over to God and working through it. And my body follows. Like I think I'm super healthy, even though I have metastatic breast cancer. Like people don't know that if they see me.
yeah.
And
God healing power right there of that emotion you're sharing and experiencing. That's the best medicine you're ever gonna get. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, do I have time to give a shout out?
Well, yeah, no, we have plenty of time here. So, I mean, as long as you guys can go, I want you to talk more about your organization and where you
All right.
were
First,
there.
I want to
where
give a
we
quick
could find
shout out
you.
to my best friend, because old Chuck that was confused about spirituality, laying in a hospital. Hey, what's your plan? I established a personal relationship with Jesus when I went through my journey. So when you said transformation, if you know old Chuck, fun guy and go to a party and dance and have fun and all this stuff, but completely confused about, what this whole life is really about, finding my walk and finding my faith and getting closer with Jesus, and now having little conversations with him every day when I'm driving somewhere. Hey, Jesus, what should I do right now? And he tells me and I go do it, and it ends up amazing. And I do this my whole life. So if there's anybody that gets on this call, I'm going to save you a crap load of time and wasted bumping your head into the wall by saying start slowly, but just in your time in the shower, in your car, wherever you're at, say a little prayer, and it don't have to be down on your knees by your bed. It's just, hey, God, I'm kind of scared. What should I do right now? Because I'm telling you right now that you knew me and you seen me now, and she's seen me over the last 2 years. And she's like, just from now to 2 years ago, you have changed. And the change is my faith and knowing why we do this is because all the material things in life, all the things that happened to me with cancer and knowing that God's in charge, we know that all we're doing right now is preparing for the next world. Do we want to have money in the bank? Yeah. Do we want to have a nice house? Yeah. Do we want to have all these things? Yeah. But what comes first is your relationship with him, and then watch what happens. And it pours out. And it's been absolutely incredible, all the way down to me and Hannah traveling the country, speaking about the foundation and helping people through cancer, or just a buddy of mine who calls and goes, dude, I don't have cancer. Read your book, or I'm watching your guys' stuff on your website, and I absolutely love it. And I'm, wow.
No, you're all over the country with this. So kind of run me through what's a day in your life like.
Well, we had to get a big board, a grease board, to write all of the things we need to do, because it's literally just the two of us in our nonprofit right now. So Chuck's basically the front office and I'm the back office. So we do our own website. So it's a lot of work, and thankfully I could do a lot of it from a recliner, but we do travel too. So in between chemo, I give myself about 2 days to rest and recuperate. And then we often get, at least once a month, we'll get on a plane, a car and go on our inspiration tour and share our story with local churches and any groups that want to hear it. So
Businesses, schools, people have had backyard barbecues and have, 25, 30 people over, and me and Hannah get to sit there around the campfire and tell our story.
Wow.
It's that incredible. And that's the fun thing about this is we don't go, okay, you've got to have a church of a certain size or a business of a certain size. If someone calls us and God opens that door, we make the plan and we can go.
If you have a story to share, tell us, how are you going to leave your mark? Contact us. Leave your mark with our host, Vince Cortese. Be our guest.
The temptation, I believe, is to always want to be in front of a larger group. But that's not what's on your heart. The intimacy and the connection is stronger in a smaller group, preferably one-on-one. But I mean, to go in 25 people, that's just the perfect size where everybody's going to just get lit. They're going to just feel it. And that you guys are so strong. I mean, as individuals, but you're like a power couple of energy with this. It's just dripping off you guys. It's unbelievable. So
it was something called God School, where we couldn't have handled what we're doing right now. 4 years ago, after I went through my crazy bout with cancer and got my last bone scan and it came back clean, not just you look pretty good. You're like, don't even look like you had cancer. So the miracles kept pouring out. And I said, I'm going to run out and tell everybody. I'm going to tell different prisons and hospitals. And in my head, I hear a voice walk into my car in the parking lot. God says, no, you're going to tell one person at a time. And I go, no, I want to tell everybody. This is incredible. And he's like, no, you're going to tell one person at a time. Well, I didn't know at the time what that meant, but God knew I didn't have the capacity to handle what was getting ready to happen if I was just thrown into it. But could I grow into it?
wow.
and now he does. He still tells a lot of people one at a time. Every day, it's like with people in the neighborhood and in the coffee shop, at a restaurant. In the airport.
But it's in the most genuine way. The idea is he's being authentic and it's heartfelt and people feel that energy. It doesn't have to come with a label. It's more his behavior that they're picking up on. And now I'm excited. So where are you guys speaking next? I mean, you got chemo going in here. You're on trip. You're doing stuff on the recliner, building a business. Obviously, the talent from Arizona going on there. I'm a little envious of that.
Come on up.
Yeah, and he actually is a really exciting, I'm going to tell it. Speaking up to, you got invited to speak at a TED Talk.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Well, now, which, in Arizona, Tempe?
Indianapolis. They're filming in Indianapolis.
And the theme is I survived. So I survived. Perfect. So, yeah, you get.
They found you.
Yeah.
That's great. So, do we know what date that is, you said, or no?
Yeah, the event happens on the 2nd of October. We fly in Indianapolis for a few days. That just came up, that conversation. Someone called and said, this is what's going on. Could you guys do it? And we looked at each other. This called him back and said, we'll do it. So that's coming up. We're juggling a bunch of stuff here locally with churches and stuff like that also.
So not only do we speak on stage and social for a book. So we're both published authors. He wrote a book called Hi, I'm Chuck. I wrote a book called Skin. And this spring, we actually sat and wrote our story together. And that is coming out, I think like October. We're super excited. It's called Get Up and Live.
Get Up and Live.
So it's our beautiful, it's our love story, but all of the pain and lessons we learned through it all in the last 2 years. It's amazing. So we're really excited to get that out. So that's another way we also speak. So people can order that on our website.
I would have to ask out of curiosity, before either one of you had cancer and then you found out, did you think anything like this would be on the other side of it when you're experiencing?
No way. No way. I'm a nurse by profession, so I always felt like I was more in the capacity to take care of people while they were sick. So it's interesting because now I'm able to apply my nursing principles to coach people and, maybe help them navigate something, but I can't really give medical advice, but I can navigate like scans and all that kind of stuff because I've experienced with that now myself, but not in this capacity.
It's the absolute perfect example of live in the moment, Get the most out of today. Hug your kids, hug your wife, take that vacation you've been putting off because of something with your job or a cancer diagnosis. And because the thing is, what this lesson just taught us was there are blessings in the hardest places in life. You would never imagine stage 4 prostate cancer with cancer in 90% of your bones and being put in hospice would be a blessing. But look at this now. Look at the lessons I've learned. Look at the changes it made in this guy. Yeah, if you would have even mentioned this 7 years ago before I started through my cancer, 6 years ago before Hannah started through hers, and then, I was in my 50s. I'm like, I'm growing old by myself. Dating these days stinks. So I'm growing old by myself, and I really don't want to, but that's what's going to happen. And I turned
to want to marry somebody with metastatic breast cancer, basically, technically terminal, right? Like, that's not something you want to take on. So the fact that God paired me with a guy that had that diagnosis and is not afraid of it is amazing. Like, that's just God ordained.
Yeah, you guys are definitely touched. This is fantastic story. I love that you came today. It's so heartwarming. Well, I ask all my guests when they're on the show, and I want you both to answer this, not as a couple, but individually. How would you like to leave your mark in this world? How would you like to be remembered?
My first thought would go directly to somebody going through cancer, giving them a big hug. But I think my biggest mark would be what can happen when you actually surrender to God and say, okay, Chuck's plan was terrible. I bumped my head into the wall so many times, had so many big journeys and troubles in life. And then I started through God's plan, and it doesn't mean everything's perfect, but man, has things been so blessed and so cool, even through cancer, even through, the things we've been through. And that's just my lesson of learning what happens when you let God orchestrate your life. You pray about something before you run into the fire, you're like, okay, what should I do here? And listen for the answer and look for the signs. So I'd love to say something, to the cancer people out there, which I love, and that's where my heart's at. But my biggest lesson to anybody in life is just really knowing who Jesus is, because it's for real. And if you've got a question about that, give me a call, because I've seen him.
Not afraid to do that.
Okay, Hannah, your turn.
Yeah. So I named my book Faith Like Skin, and I think that is it. I want to leave that legacy of having lived a life. It makes me tear up. But, we're, especially my boys, we have 6 sons, that they could look at my life and see that I wore my faith like it was my skin, that I'm faithful and everything.
That's amazing. What a gift you two are. We're lucky that you got to meet each other so that we get to experience this energy. It's an incredible blessing. So I want kind of heavy there. Well, I want to keep in touch with you guys, know what you're up to next. I'll be following you on the internet. I want to promote your stuff, so make sure you give me all your information, and continue being blessed and doing what you're doing. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed this.
It's super nice to meet you. This has been awesome for us. We're honored. The easiest, we just captured Get Up and Live down. Before it was livinghopecancerfoundation.com. We've got 56 2 to 3 minute videos on there now that people can watch and get coached through cancer or through life. So that's all free. That's all free stuff. But we captured getupandlive.org. So we share that everywhere we go. It's just easy. People remember it and they can find us. And the best thing, go to my TikTok, Chuck Keels on TikTok.
Okay.
And we're blowing it up, baby.
Doesn't even need to dance.
No, he doesn't. That's wonderful. Well, I'll be in touch, and you guys stay well. Thank you so much.
Love you, brother. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Leave Your Mark today. Tune into our next episode of Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese. Be blessed.
You just left your mark. Thanks for listening. Listen to more episodes on demand. Just click Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese.